One of America's leading doctors shocked the world when, at age 57, he announced he only wanted to live to 75. As he gets closer to that age, is he sticking to his plan? In the October 2014 Atlantic article, Why I Hope to Die at 75, Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel vowed that when he hit that age, his approach to his health care will completely change. That while he won't actively end his life, he wouldn't try to prolong it. He cited statistics on how America is living longer and why that wasn't necessarily a good thing. In 1900, the life expectancy of an average American was approximately 47 years. By 1990, it was over 75. Since his article appeared, the number peaked in 2019 at nearly 79, but due in part to COVID-19, it most recently was measured at around 76 and a half. Dr. Emanuel also showed this sobering chart about how creative productivity falls off a cliff after one's early 60s. He points out that when parents routinely live to 95, children must caretake into their own retirement. However, now it's more than 8 years later, and he's 65 and looking pretty good, by the way. So how's he feeling about all of this? Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel joins me now. He's an oncologist, bioethicist, senior fellow at the Center for American Progress, also vice provost for global initiatives at the University of Pennsylvania. Welcome back. Your title was Why I Hope to Die at 75, but really what you were writing about was quality of life, not just longevity, right?
Yes, and your audience should remember that authors do not give their articles titles, editors do, and editors have an interest in pumping up sales, not necessarily in being totally accurate. Look, at 75, it's not a matter of do I want medical interventions. If I happen to be skiing or something, I would definitely take medical interventions if I, say, broke my hip or injured my knee. That's definitely the case. And if I'm in serious pain, I would take pain medications. The thing I was saying is that what I don't want to do is, say, take chemotherapy if I got cancer at that point. And those are important distinctions. I'm not saying stop medical care, which is what the title and a lot of the language around this suggests.
Okay, but Dr. Emanuel, there are a lot of interventions. I'm going to put them on the screen that you say when you hit 75, you're no longer interested in. Regular preventive tests, screenings, interventions, colonoscopies and other cancer screening tests, cardiac stress test, pacemaker, implantable defibrillator, heart valve replacement or bypass surgery, flu shots or antibiotics, ventilators, dialysis, surgery, medication. God forbid, if you get cancer, you're just going to let it ride?
Yes, sir. And you know what, Michael, a lot of those interventions, they're not necessarily pleasant interventions, especially cancer chemotherapy. I'm an oncologist, as you mentioned, and I know a lot about them. And I think the real question is not at that moment. The real question is, how do you want to live your life? What does quality of life mean to you? And I'm pretty clear about what it means to me. And the reason I wrote that article was to suggest that people need to be clear about what it means to them. I wasn't telling everyone, do what I do. I said, you need to think about it. You just can't sort of blindly go into old age, which I think unfortunately happens to many, many people. And the medical system will do what the medical system does, regardless of what your philosophy of life is. And what I was urging people, think about what's important to you. What's important to me is to be mentally active, mentally engaged, doing what I can do to make the world a better place. I want to be physically active.
Dr. Emanuel.
I want to be physically active.
Dr. Emanuel.
Yeah.
Your father lived to 92. I think your mother is still with us. You were dealt a really good hand. You're still taking the under.
And look, you're exactly right, Michael. I may turn out to be what I call in the article an outlier, right? I was talking about on averages because not everyone can be an outlier. Almost all of us think we'll be outliers, but by definition, that's not true. On average, there's a problem. And let me point out a statistic you mentioned at the top, that our average life expectancy is going down. What that really means is that a lot of young people are not living to 75. That's the real tragedy, that our system has not made everyone be able to live a healthy life to 75. That's what we should be aiming for. living to 100 or living to 90, those extra years, they're not in your 30s or 40s. They're in your 90s. And that's, not necessarily where people anticipate that extra year or month or whatever it's going to be. And I'm pretty clear in my own mind about the fact that I want to be vigorous until the end. And that's what's important to me, that the end is 75 or 80 or whatever it's going to be. I think the tragedy is we have too many Americans not making it to 75.
As you draw closer to 75, is the Emanuel clan lobbying, putting pressure on you to reconsider?
Look, I've had discussions with my partner extensively about this. If I'm an outlier, as I think I've said in public before, if I'm vigorous, I'm like Tony Fauci, still being active, still making major contributions into my 80s, then I'll have to reconsider. And I'm fully aware of that. I said that in the article, that 75 was a sort of average age. It's not what's important is the quality at that point.
When you hit 90, I want to book the interview. God willing that I'm able to pull it off myself. Okay, so can we put that in the date book right now?
I would be an amazing outlier if that were true, Michael. There are outliers. I've just put up a Coursera course on Ben Franklin. He was an outlier way back in the 1700s, where when he was, I think, 82, he participated in the Constitutional Convention, gave a very, very famous and a speech at the end of the Constitutional Convention that's worth looking at. He wrote part of his autobiography at the end. He was very vigorous all the way till 84 when he died. God willing, I should be like that.
Dr. Emanuel, thank you. I wish you good health.
Take care. Nice to be with you.